Hello, On the Rocks family. On this week's episode, we celebrate women in film with Jasmine Davis from The Chi and Never Have I Ever, Season 2, next to Common, by the way. And we have Dierdre Friel here from New Amsterdam and Physical as we spill the tea about their career, their hit shows, and more. With me, your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
And most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Listen to that applause. Yes, buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, the place where we're too glam to give a damn. Okay, the Olympics. I'm watching for the sports. Yeah, right. Anyway, some of you out there are calling an Olympian a quitter. These same people, I've seen you on that diet. I've seen you on your 13th relationship, and you started smoking again. So you want to talk about a quitter? Keep it to yourself. Another thing, Matt Damon, what are you doing? First, he states that superhero films are ruining Hollywood, which I kind of agree with, by the way. I do, but I can't say that. I just said it. Then he says he just stopped using the FAG word to call gays because his daughter told him just now. He did Beyond the Candelabra. He did Will and Grace. Learned a lot, didn't you, Matt Damon? That's okay. I still call you Jason Bourne. Well, okay, On the Rocks is coming to Uranus. Well, kind of. I'm very excited. On the Rocks will be on the scene with the nationwide nonprofit Gays in Space, 3 A's in each, as we celebrate the 55th anniversary of Star Trek in Las Vegas, a week of panels, Star Trek celebrity meet and greets, game nights, VIP cocktail parties, brunches, and there's even a Mars experience where you get to put on an actual spacesuit and you have to do a mission on Mars in an environmentally controlled environment. Yeah, I'm a podcaster, right? But it's going to be every celebrity there, and I'm leading all of the parties, so come on out. Go to gaysinspace.org. And then coming up, we have John Delancey from Star Trek, who is re-emerging as his character Q in Season 2 of Picard. He's going to come spill the beans. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook, On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. The show is presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen now to over 289 episodes for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. If you're listening to us, you can watch us on Facebook Watch and on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, on the Outlet.tv app. Share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave your phone number. I'm single. All right, let's get to our guest of honor. I am so excited. I have watched these shows. I have done my research. Jasmine Davis currently stars in Showtime's critically acclaimed original series, The Chi, now streaming Season 4. The Season 4 finale, by the way, just happened. Everybody's freaking out. She can also be seen in Season 2 of Mindy Kaling's Netflix series, Never Have I Ever. Again, I'm going to say, starring alongside Common. Those scenes, girl, Stevie. It's like, in a doctor's office? Yes, please. She also majored in sociology, and we have lots to talk about. Please welcome Jasmine Davis.
You're amazing.
Also joining us for our Women in Film chat, actress Dierdre Friel currently co-stars along a Golden Globe-nominated Rose Byrne in the Apple Plus dramedy Physical. The season finale is this week. I cannot believe this season has gone by so quickly. I have become so entrenched with the show. These characters are my friends. I want to take Greta out drinking. And for some fries. Maybe shave my head. I don't know. Also, no stranger to TV or film. She has also been seen on the hit show New Amsterdam and Search Party, as well as a feature film second act opposite J-Lo in the upcoming untitled Ray Romano film. It's his very first film that he's directing. And pictures were just leaked this last week of Dierdre filming her scene with Laurie Metcalf at a mall. And every angle, everything's like, God damn, where are all these people? Oh, there it is. There's one of them. And there's Ray Romano being director. Oh, look at that. Oh, so serious. Laurie Metcalf is like, bitch, she's a better actress than I am. Just kidding. No, please welcome Dierdre Friel.
Oh my God,
no, just kidding. All right, so we're going to start off nice and slow before we get into the nitty-gritty, because I really want to talk about the reality of what's happening in Hollywood. I want to talk about the reality of strong women figures on TV, which both of you portray in such different worlds. What I love about the show is we have talked to actresses from all different states, walks of life, genre, from reality TV to porn, to TV, to everything. What we all share is that we all have this longer journey. And so both of you are these breakout stars on these recent shows, but it kind of belies this years and years of work and training, time in the business.
Yes.
People are like, "Where'd you come? You got that job last night." You're like, "No, it's not like
Like, I've been in here for a long time.
You're like, I did musical theater with children.
did.
Go,
I
go,
really
Joseph.
I was not sociology major. I did musical theater with children.
Well, Jasmine, you worked in cosmetology in Chicago, by the way.
In Chicago. I went to
God.
Pivot Point, and I realized that it's not the career I want.
I could see you getting a little chatty, though. Like, I could
totally.
see that part of it.
The chatty was always there. Never got anything done with hair.
Maybe like a spin-off, The Shy Beauty Salon.
Oh, yeah.
Like the after spin-off, like a web series.
Y'all hear that?
Yeah, that's actually great. Where the women just chat.
Yeah.
Copyright
Talk
that.
show maybe in the future.
But I want to talk about the different backgrounds that both of you come from. What was that moment where you're like, okay, and I know you come from a theater family.
Yeah.
And you also did theater, or no, you
Little
studied.
bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you studied at Second City. But what was that moment? You're like, okay, this is going to be what I'm going to do. Was it a movie you saw? Was it a performance you saw? What was that moment, that defining moment?
I mean, I grew up in a theater family, so my grandfather used to do like community theater. He tap danced, like he was like incredible. My whole family, my parents met doing a theater, like they had a theater troupe.
Straight man in theater?
I know.
Snag that one.
No, my mom was like, and you. But like my whole family, that's what, I mean, like every family party ends with usually me at the piano, or it used to be my uncle banging out show tunes, or Christmas, and everyone sings. My dad plays guitar. So it was just, I was 2, and I remember seeing my grandfather in a show. It was South Pacific, and we came back to the house, and he said a line from the show. And then I said the next line, and my family looked at me, and he said the next line, and we went back
Musical
and forth
genius.
for like 5 lines. And he was like,
Wow.
why? I just always knew in my bones that I really wanted to do this, and I like, it was like in my guts that I just like needed to do this. It was like the only way I kind of really knew how to express myself, really. I'm not a good visual artist. I kind of became a good musician, but I didn't ever really feel like I had like a natural gift for it. I worked hard at it. But this was something that like, it was like for me, like a duck to water, as I just felt right. So
Yeah.
I think getting into it so young, or having that idea so young, you were kind of innocent to the whole realm. I think coming into it later, into a theater family, you would be like, oh, kind of intimidated by all of this, right? Like, oh, you want to do theater too? Okay, that's cute. But you kind of just went into it full force.
I just loved to do it. But I didn't ever pursue it professionally till after I was done with college. My parents, and I didn't disagree with them, felt like it was important to have a degree, like to be able to have something you could do with your life. Like, and I was always a teacher too. I really liked that. It was something I actually thought I was going to maybe do for real. And I did, even up until this year. I taught at NYU. So I really love that part of my life. So I kind of now value very much the fact that I sort of was able to diversify my artistic portfolio, because I don't think anyone does one thing anymore. You have to be a
can't
writer.
anymore.
You
You
can't.
can't just do.
Yeah.
No,
have
you
to be
gotta
a
make
writer.
your own work.
You have to be a TikTok star. It's
Yeah.
like, girl,
Yeah,
I can't even
everything.
hashtag.
But like you have to do all of those things. So I feel like for me, not having tremendous success at like 20 or 18, I just had to hustle in all these areas, and then I really enjoyed them. So I don't ever feel like I got to a point where I thought, oh, if I don't become an actor, I'll have to settle for this other thing. I kind of felt a lot of fulfillment in different areas. I just happen to be very fortunate right now to be able to be pursuing this the way I am, because I feel, I think I see you nodding at me, like I feel
Totally
like I
agree,
relate.
yeah.
It feels like it's myself, so I feel lucky to do that,
I agree with what she's saying. Like my family came from singing and rapping, so a lot of performers, struggling artists, and we used to perform every year for my grandmother anniversary, her wedding anniversaries. Like we used to put these plays on, and my mom will sit there and watch Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers And I didn't know who they was as a kid, but I would see them doing these amazing dances and choreography and acting brilliantly. And then I was like, oh my God, I would love to do that, you know? And then I started doing plays when I was in grade school and then high school. And then it just sparked the interest. Like, I don't even like school, but I love going to school just for this.
For that thing.
Yeah, just for the plays and stuff. I was the number one student, always raising her hands when it had to do with a play. Anything else, homework, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So it was like a cannonball. It just kept rolling. I kept like doing little side plays and little things. And then I got older. I went to Second City, and everyone was like, "What are you doing? Like, what is that place?" I invited like family and friends to like one of the shows, and they were like, "These people are weird." I'm like, "Well, I'm
Well, we
weird
know
too."
that is actually a Hollywood fact.
You know, we all are.
Improv people are so weird.
I am so weird. So,
Best after parties, though, I will tell you.
we turn up.
Yeah,
We turn up.
That is so true.
I was always so jealous. I've only done very little improv.
so bad.
But
I'm so bad.
Would let my boyfriend's like an amazing improver, but I'm so jealous of the fact that you were able to like.
I love it,
develop
but
that
that's
skill.
what broke me out of my shell,
bet.
because so many people will tell you can't do this and that, and you start doing improv, and you're like on the spot. It's like you just going and going and going, and there's no script, there's no like rule book to tell you got to do this. You just have to be yes and you have to be creative, you have to be on your toes all the time. And I'm an Aries, so I work well when it comes to pressure. You know, so I'm like, this is what I wanted to do. And I moved to California. I was engaged for the second time.
2 times already?
It was 3.
calm
Total of
down.
3.
Twice.
And I just left. I didn't have a plan. I did not know what I was going to do. And I started out doing like background work. I had my first extra principal in a sci-fi movie that I never seen, and I got SAG-AFTRA, whatever that was at the time, and eligible. I mean,
Yeah.
And then I was just doing background work and doing little gigs here and there, and then next thing I know, like years later, 7 years later, because I'm late 20s.
That's right.
It just started to happen, and people like, "Where's she come from?" I'm like, "I've been in this
been here.
industry
thing.
for a
There's no
very
overnight
long time."
success. I want to talk a little bit about those no's that we get. I know you were super close to a role on Supergirl.
But a few others that I've never talked about.
Yeah, I think we all have those stories. Like, there's so many no's, and we know coming from theater, you get no's off Broadway. And it's like, I can't even be in like the Gay Italian Wedding. Like, come on, it was written for me. But
Listen.
no. How do you work through those no's? How has your approach to receiving no's changed over the years? Now that you can sit back and be like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. What advice would you have for somebody that is going through a period of no's?
For me, I always say, I piggyback on what she was saying. Like, I always had other aspirations as well. I want to be an actress. Yeah, that's one of them. But I also love music. I love writing. I model. So it's just so many things. I just enjoy life. So it would not have made or break me if I wasn't an actress. I didn't mind traveling the world and just live my life like that, you know, and just like writing and do poetry. So I just had other aspirations as well. I will tell any actor, just have something else that you love. Find other hobbies, because this business can be a little bit, you know, shaky and crazy. And you have to have thick skin and have confidence to know that if they're saying no, it doesn't mean that, you know, you're not worthy. It's just not right for you. Yeah. And what's right for you, it will come so easy. Yeah. And we are, I would say, witness to that. Like, everything I got, and like, it came so easy. I didn't have to work as hard for like all the other roles, like the no's. I was working so hard. I wanted it so bad. And, you know, I'm trying to manifest like, oh my God, it's mine, you know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
But it doesn't matter how hard if it's not meant for you,
it's
that door's
not yours.
That's
yeah.
right.
Well, and that whole idea of improv, yes, and sometimes you have to say yes to jobs or opportunities that are not right on your journey. One of my friends did a lot of musical theater in New York, and it was like this, and it was not happening. Now he's one of the biggest YouTube travel bloggers.
He found
making
his
a huge,
right thing.
he's still
Yeah.
performing,
Yeah.
and he's editing, and he's doing now. But now, like, that's a whole different career that he never would have said yes to.
You know what else too? I got some really practical advice from Leah Remini.
Oh,
like a couple.
love her.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
the most amazing, nicest person. Hi, Leah. If you see this, hi. But
Oh, there you guys are.
yeah. But she told me, she said after every audition she books herself like lunch with a friend or a nail appointment, or so she has a place to go. Like, so it's not like you do the thing and then you're sitting by the phone like, is someone gonna call? And another friend, which I was like, oh, it's so, and like I was like, that's great advice from you, because you've been at it for, like, you know how to do the gig. And then another friend of mine told me when he walks out of the audition room, he puts the sides in the garbage.
I do the same.
Yeah, so it's
I
just
throw
like,
my sides in the garbage. I'm like, I'm done.
But my job today was to do the audition. I mean, now we're not going in the room anymore for the time being, but like, that was my job. My job was not to book the job. It just takes the pressure off me. My job was just to have a good audition. And the truth is, I say this to young actors when I teach sometimes, like, sometimes that is just your job, because sometimes when it's not right for you, they still go, oh, but you know what you're going to be right for is this other project.
Exactly.
So if I give a good impression, it's not about this job. It's about all the other jobs that can come from this moment. Or
I call it booking the room. Like the
Booking
casting
the room.
director
Yeah.
will look at you like, wow, okay, they don't want her for this, but she's such a good actress, or and we want her for this,
Yep.
you know?
Well, and we know performers have a natural energy when they walk into the room. Like you ladies, the minute you walked into this room, it just feels a certain way, which makes me scared of all of these taped auditions, because it's usually a casting intern that's like, meh, 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 and they're watching you for 2 seconds. You don't get the experience of how they see how you walk in, how you treat the other staff, the energy that you have that might not, like you said, be right for this role, but for so many other things, because you're impressing a whole room of people. Like, is that gone now? Because it's so easy to just dismiss
I never
people.
liked tape auditions.
They're awkward.
I booked one. It's called Sunrise, and that movie still is not out yet. They're still in post-production. I don't know what's going on with that. But I never was good with self-tapes. I'm like you. When I walk in a room, I want to feel the room. What if the director is there? I was on a job where I met a director, and I was this close to getting the job, but I didn't see eye to eye with the director, and I turned that movie down. I'm like, you don't have those type of moments. You don't know who you're working with. You know, a lot of people are like, they want it so bad, but what if you get on set and it's a nightmare? You know, is it worth it? I mean, you can't be in this business for money, because you don't get money for a long time in this business.
That's 100% true.
A lot of new actors don't realize that. And they're like, oh, I can finally pay rent. Yeah, next year you can.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've done projects even in the last couple of years, like for scale, because the people on it were amazing, that it was just worth it to work with. Like you're saying, for me, the opportunity to be on a great set. Now, I also realize what a privilege it is to even speak from the space of saying I can make a financial sacrifice, because some people can't, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that I could say, well, you know what? Booking the room, being on a good set could be worth just as much as making X number of dollars.
Totally.
Because enjoying going to work every day.
Oh, it's a
worth
blessing.
so much.
It's priceless. You cannot pay me the amount of money. It's so priceless to just love what you do, and you love the people that you're on set with.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It just makes it feel like it's not work.
Yeah, you enjoy it.
Yeah.
They enjoy you being there. It's a positive experience. It ends up being, I'm not excited about working for scale, everybody. I just want that on camera.
You're going to get all these offers now. It's like,
But they're going to be like, okay, she wants to work scale now.
But I'm just saying, sometimes you are or the piece is speaking about something really important. We were talking about it before we were rolling, but being a part of Physical was an incredible opportunity to talk about something that was real, that felt really real to me. And I was really excited. I thought, well, this project could be worth it. Before I knew what the dollars and cents of it were going to be, I'm like, this could be really worth it, so.
And I love that you say that. I look at every project like that. I think I've done it from the start as well. Because I've been around for so long. I know that it's not a lot of money in this business until you get to the top, unless you're a series regular. But I look at each project and I'm like, is it worth it? It's going to be long hours. As a background person, I've been there. Long hours. How's the crew? How is production? Are they organized?
I was like, what's craft services like? That's
that part. Do they have vegan options?
No, I never asked that.
But yes,
I ask all the questions.
Good for you. You have to. That's we have very little agency as actors. I think advocating for yourself is really important.
Well, and we have so much content now. Everybody has their YouTube web series, and we know now with all these channels, and then we have these streaming channels. There is so much content, and so we know some shows have to fill that content with different levels of acting. So it's important to tell the industry, no, I'm an actor, and this is what I'm worth, and this is what my demands are, because it's a whole different culture. Everything has changed, especially now after COVID. It has definitely changed. I want to talk about working with Second City. You did an interview where you talked about your challenges with dyslexia and kind of working with that kind of helped. I have talked to so many actors, especially on the show, that suffer from dyslexia. And then it makes me so like sweat because you think everything is, hey, read this, here's the side, here's this direction. I can't imagine the anxiety and the pressure that dealing with that. Can you give some advice on actors
I
with
would
dyslexia?
say just realize you're not going to be perfect. Like I was fortunate. It's different stages of dyslexia. I was able to read, but sometimes comprehending certain things, sometimes it'll get blurred. And I'm like, okay, I got to read this like 4 or 5 times to understand exactly what they're saying. But I was always one of those people who was not ashamed. I would call it, wait a minute, I'm dyslexic. You're going to have to give me a minute.
I love
for
that,
you.
though.
Give me
I
a
love that.
second. I didn't give a care. I was always one of those people. I did not care what you thought. You're going to give me a second. I'm going to comprehend this and I'm going to ask questions. I was like that as a kid. I was that person raising her hand. Can you please explain that again for me? And I think you have to do that because if you're sitting there and you're like nervous and no one knows what's going on and you don't understand, you can't read it, then who knows how to help you?
Yes.
You have to be brave enough to say, okay, this is my flaw. We all have them. You know mine, and I need some help.
But to me, I hope you don't take this as me rewording what you're saying. But I hear you saying it not as a flaw, but as a challenge that you like accepted and owned, and that it actually
Totally.
it ended up making you a better performer because
Magical.
you weren't afraid to cover something up. You just went, this is what I live with, and this is how I understand things, and then you thrived. I mean, look at where you are.
Totally.
Like,
Our
incredible.
brains work magical, though, than other people because we're more artsy. You know, we're always in the clouds and thinking of, I mean, Walt Disney, for God's sake, he was dyslexic. He built the whole world, you know?
He sure did.
That's amazing.
Have you seen the new prices for Disney tickets? It's stupid.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, no.
It's
Is
still
it?
my favorite place, though.
So with 2 hit shows on TV and, kind of newish to this kind of stardom and this kind of high-profile shows, do you still get that excitement that you're watching the episode the first minute it airs and you have like the poster in your living room? And, like,
I don't have a poster, but I do get really excited because also I haven't seen 10 yet, which comes out on Friday. So I do get excited. My boyfriend and I watch it every Thursday night at 9 p.m. because it releases at midnight on the West Coast.
Yes.
So
Yes, it does.
We wait up on the East Coast, sorry. So it's 9 p.m. here. So we wait up and watch it. And I get excited. For me, I've had to learn how, because I came from theater world, how to watch myself less critically. So I
do that.
Yeah, it's hard because
It is hard.
You judge yourself, or I do, and so I'd have to watch things 3 times. So I have to watch it the first time, and I have terrible inner dialogue. Oh, you look weird. That was stupid. You didn't do that good. So it's like the Goldilocks and the 3 bears. Like it was like Papa Bear, and then Mama Bear was like a little nicer, and then I finally could get to the place where I was like, okay, let me see what I'm doing. Do I like what I'm doing? Like, but it would take me 3 watches to really get there. Now I'm a little bit better, but I do.
I was gonna say that's.
I was
I
gonna
would
say
get
good
more
for
scared every time
you.
watching it because
You know
Yeah.
what?
3
Almost-
watches, I cannot.
No,
who has
but-
that time, number one?
But almost every actor I've worked with who I admire, who is at a higher level than me, who works a lot, says that the people at the top of their game watch themselves in the dailies, have been able to figure out how to use their minds to like watch what they're doing, and so then they can get better even within the takes. And so I mean that's what I want for myself. So I'm like,
Totally. See,
can I do it?
I started to watch the dailies. I'm still critical.
Oh no,
but
I can't
Oh,
watch
you
the
watch the
dailies.
dailies?
I have to, but what she said is true. I can't watch myself just for entertainment. It's all critical.
Yeah,
It's all critical. I'm
hard.
taking notes. What should I not do? What I don't like that. Why did I blink? Okay. Am I thinking, okay,
Because
your
you're
thoughts are
human.
not clear. Yeah. No, seriously.
I
It's
know
a
what
whole
you mean,
thing.
yeah.
So I never can sit there and watch myself. Like I can watch it like 2 or 3 times with friends. I'm still taking notes.
But do you get to a place with your? I'm so interested. I'm sorry. I'm going to interview you for a second.
But no, please, no, this is what this is all about because we have so many entertainment people that watch the show and they could be experiencing this and we're so afraid to talk about.
But I want to know, like, when you take notes, when you watch yourself, do you get to a place like, do your notes help you move beyond the inner critical voice?
Oh, it helps me with my performance the next
Okay,
time.
okay.
The critical voice, I feel like she's always going to be there, and I'm glad she's there, because if I get comfortable in myself, then it's like no room for growth. So I'm like, for me, that's my way of growing, because it's like, okay, you're never going to be perfect, so you're always going to be doing your best.
See, I feel like my critical voice, and it's so funny because so much physical is all about this inner critical voice, and
All about it.
and it's like she's so harsh on herself. But my critical voice has gotten in the way of my growth oftentimes in my past. So now I'm trying to like you said, I'm like, okay, it's there. How do I work with it? How do I use it as like a director? So like, can I reframe something instead of being like, you stupid idiot, being like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
you could have prepared better for that moment, or oh, what you were trying to play was this action and it wasn't coming across that way. So this is how you can do, like, I'm trying really hard.
But that's what I tell myself.
Yeah?
I never say you're stupid or you're not a good actor.
Okay.
I always use words like, okay, that was good. It can be better.
Okay.
Or, okay, let's try this next time.
Okay.
I've learned from other actors and other students like that was way above me when I first started that told me that early on in the game. So it stuck with me early as a kid. Like, I never talk bad about yourself. I always say something like, oh, you can try something different or try that. My mom will always tell me that too. So in the back of my head, I never was one of those people that will talk like bad about myself.
Okay, good.
It's always, if any actor like is out there listening, never talk bad about yourself. That's not healthy at all. You always want to tell yourself about what can you do better?
Yeah.
How can you see it differently? What's a different perspective,
Yeah.
And that will help you with that inner voice
Yeah.
instead of feeling like, okay, I'm beating myself down. No, I'm giving myself constructive criticism to grow.
Yeah.
And part of that has to be congratulating yourself as well. It's
Totally.
like,
You have to find that
Totally.
time. You have to do
I'm
it.
on TV and I'm
Yeah.
on the show. I mean, that's
Totally.
that's something there. I want to talk about The Shy. So I'm going to be very honest because that's what I am.
I'm nervous.
No, it's this hit show, critically acclaimed. It's been on now for 4 seasons. Until I knew you were coming to the show, I did not watch it.
You and me too.
Oh, well, hey, that's good. That's good to hear.
Sorry, people.
Part of it is, and then I started watching, and I usually like to watch a couple of episodes just to get an idea of your role. And then I found myself watching. It was like 3 a.m, and I'm watching it till the end of season 3. The first couple of episodes was totally out of my comfort zone, and this is what I'm going to be honest about. It's not my world. It's not my culture. I didn't understand some of the language patterns. I didn't understand some of the storylines. I felt almost like an intruder on this show. And then you get a little nervous because then you start talking about themes like racism. It's like, oh my God, am I racist? Because I just don't feel comfortable in this. And then what happened, episode 3, everything clicked. And then I started to see myself and my storylines in these characters. The language started to make sense to me, and all of a sudden I was entranced in this world.
Yay.
And it just made me think of, can we say that? Okay. Oh, and so we know that they just announced there's another season of The Shy. Woo!
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Applause. And then I started to compare it. So when I'm asked to review shows, and when we have people on the show, it's usually like Bravo TV stuff. It's like Drag Race, and it's that kind of show. It's like, yay, gay. And then we think about all of these hardcore shows that have come out from the LGBTQ community, like It's a Sin, Pose, all of these shows. To me, it's part of my culture. So I'm like, oh, this is a great show.
Right.
Everybody should be watching. And then I saw it from this perspective, saying, hey, it might alienate some people right off the bat until you really get into it, because it's so capturing the spirit of a culture that haven't had stories told like this in this high quality way. How do we get shows like The Shy more mainstream so that everybody's watching these shows? It's not just a certain category, or it's kind of, I hate to say it, but it was like, this is Showtime's Black Show. You know what I mean?
Totally.
How do
yeah.
we make that not a thing so that everybody should be watching shows like this?
We're doing it right now, just by having that conversation, just by being aware of what you're saying, that it should be more mainstream. We should have more shows like this. And I love that you felt a little uncomfortable, because it lets you know that we're not a show about escapism. You know, it's about being real, being real with what's going on in our culture in the city of Chicago. So to a lot of us, it's very familiar, but a lot of people's like, wow. And a lot of my Caucasian friends would be like, I just never knew this. And we'll sit
I
and
said that so many times.
yes, we'll just sit there and laugh about it, and I'll update them. But they said the same thing once they started watching it and they really start diving deep. They start getting what's going on.
It was like a switch.
Yeah, you start realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is a universal story. Some things I don't get, but in a lot of communities, I don't get certain things. And then you start picking up, you start getting attached to certain characters, and you start falling in love with other characters. And then you're so entrenched into it, and you're like, oh my God, I love it. I'm starting to get it. But I totally think we need to start continuing to have these conversations, to, continue to be aware of that, you know, it has to be more mainstream telling our stories. It has to be a broader picture. And, you know, that's the only way it's going to happen if we have these conversations and be more aware of what you were saying.
And I want to talk about the pressure in coming into a show like The Chi. You come in season 3, so the cast is already bonded, the stories have already started. You come in with that pressure, which I can't imagine walking into a show third season, especially with the expectations. Like, okay, what are you going to do? You know? And then on top of that, you also you come from this culture. You grew up in these environments with the drugs, with murders.
Yes.
And so you have that pressure to also, you're not just some Hollywood starlet coming in saying, I'm going to be in this dramatic show and I'm going to act dramatically and I'll, you know, get nominated for something. You're like, no, this is actually telling stories from your life, an environment from your life. So that must have come with an added pressure too, to kind of keep it real, tell the honest stories. That's a lot of pressure coming into a show.
It was, and it's funny because a lot of people did think I was just some Hollywood actress that came from Los Angeles. A lot of people on the show did not know that I was from Chicago.
Wow.
Lena Waithe knew, but a lot of other people did not know that I was from Chicago. So they were shocked when I was understanding this, and I was like telling them things of my nature, like, oh, well, I've seen this happen before. That doesn't look too authentic. Maybe we should try this, you know?
Yeah.
Because I've been there. I lived that life. So it was a lot of pressure on me and the city of Chicago. And I love that I have so many people from Chicago will walk up to me like, man, you killed that. Like, oh my God, girl, you're on fire. Oh, my favorite one now is, girl, you the shit.
Yeah.
That's
shit on the side.
Yeah, that's the Chicago slang. And I love that I can be very authentic and show a different light, you know, different side of us in Chicago, that, you know, we're human and we have these different, you know, different characteristics about ourselves, and, you know.
And being a strong woman with this male-dominated, you know, environment, with the violence, with the drugs, with family issues, showing strong women. And on the flip side, another show that we have on is Physical. Also talking about women's strength, you know, set in the 80s. My mom was a single mom in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
So I spent much time at the
wow.
mall. My mom was working whatever job she could to make things happen.
And the mall was your babysitter at certain times.
Well,
right?
and she also felt this need to keep up, like, with the aerobics, whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so she would go on her crash diet. She would get, you know, whatever haircuts, because you had to fit in this kind of idea of what an 80s woman was.
Totally.
I want you to talk a little bit about the actual environment, because you said it so well. There was all these groups that were gaining their strength during the 80s, and then it kind of broke off, and which is kind of what the show comes from. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we were talking before we started airing again, like, you know, in the 70s, you were talking all about Black Panthers, Black empowerment, right? Then you were talking about women's movement. You're talking about the big LGBTQ. Yep. I don't think there wasn't even a Q on it at that time.
No, there wasn't.
Right.
There was gay and straight.
Yeah.
And so, but you had these movements for these marginalized groups. Ironically, women being a marginalized group, making up half of society. But anyway, and everybody was like, yes, we did it. And then now we're in 2021 having the exact same conversations, having the exact same protests, having
about equal pay and
about equal pay,
so
equal
many
rights.
Things. I'm like, it's 2021.
So it's a crazy thing to think about, that the show being set in 1981 still feels the conversations are relevant, like in different ways. I mean, I think we've moved the needle. I think we have moved the needle, but
somewhat, totally.
Right. I mean, like, you at least hope, like you were saying, just even by having those conversations that we're having now that we were not
we
having.
see progress, because
Right.
people wake up, they're more aware. They can't say, oh, I didn't know that.
Right.
And it
Right.
clicks to certain people. As soon as you make them aware of it,
That's
really
right.
clicks.
Yeah.
Because some people don't have these conversations.
That's right. And so that's where, you know, and again, I have to acknowledge as a white person, but that's where I see the needle moving, or having conversations like that with friends of mine, with colleagues of mine in the industry, having more representation, which is critical. And so, but that's what I kind of love about doing a show in 81, because it's still as relevant that we're going, we have so far to go. And you're seeing these women specifically making progress and process in their own lives. But at the same time, you can kind of then sit back and when the show turns off and go, okay, so how am I doing that now? Today, how are we doing that now?
Well, and I think Physical was sold so well because when you saw the ads, when you saw the trailers, you thought it was going to be this 80s, like funny, cartoony type of show with the big hair and the spandex. And then the first 5 minutes happen, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was dark.
It was super dark, heavy. We're dealing with eating disorders. We're dealing with women's rights. We're dealing with cheating. We're dealing with politics. It's a very heavy show when it comes to it. But like you said, there's this comedic twist to it.
Yeah.
And I think you said in another interview that just kind of shows that it is an actual reflection of life and how comedy is a part of this heavy-handed. We don't just need this show that's going to hit you across the head and be like, preach, preach, preach.
Right.
It's more of an actual story. Is it okay to laugh at these issues?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's okay to feel however you feel when you are. When you're watching entertainment, when you are watching something that informs you. I mean, you're watching The Chi, you felt uncomfortable. And then at a certain point, you felt related to it. So, like, I hope that the show does that for people. I know a lot of people especially specifically women, who've struggled with eating issues and have messaged me, called me, friends, family, said, at first, it was really hard for me to watch this, but I'm really glad I pushed through. This is not advice from me to anybody, but like, I'm glad I pushed through because ultimately I feel like it was a reflection of how I feel on the inside. I've never seen this portrayed in this way. And I do think what Annie Weissman and Apple did really intelligently was they've hired a bunch of really funny people to talk about this material. So there is a natural sense of like an imbuement of lightness and comedy and heart in the middle of like these really intense issues that you're like, because that is what life is like. Life is not just, black or white.
It's
colors. Yeah, it's different.
It has
things.
to be, otherwise you would want to die every day.
But it isn't. Even in like the darkest hacks, right? I mean, I just finished that recently and she's at a funeral, and then at the same time, she's still going to do stand-up because it's real. Like, real life is like the yin and the yang. Like, how do I get through this moment? Like, I'm really excited. I think that's also a big thing of what you're saying. There's so many new networks, new avenues. Streaming has kind of broken out of these molds of like, okay, well, this is a drama and this is a comedy and this is a family show and this is an hour show and this is a half. Now we're kind of going, the show is going to take 41 minutes to tell and it's got no genre.
And then you have the credits in that part, no genre.
That's what, good luck. And like, I'm like, I don't know what, just click on it because you like it, like click on it and check it out, and I'm really excited about that. More auditions I have now. It's not like, well, go be funny. It's just bring you. And then if it's, like you said, if it's meant for you, that door is going to open.
I totally agree with you with the no genre because life is like that in general. I can't even tell you how many crazy moments I had that I laughed through. And I think watching it on TV now, it's like, oh my God, I relate to that more than, like you said, just drama or comedy. Like, that's not real.
My life is neither a drama nor a comedy.
Yeah.
So I I mean,
I want to talk about your personal life and bringing homework home, so to speak.
All right.
Your portrayal of Greta. I was telling you this before the show. We're introduced to Greta in such like a comedic, funny way, and we think, oh, Greta's this kind of character, and she's going to be like the comic relief, and then. Like a minute into the performance, it was very nuanced. And I think it really is testament to you've done musical theater, you've done Shakespeare. And so you have all these different genres that you know what's appropriate to mix in and then on screen. But Greta goes through a lot. And no matter who you are, what you look like, we've all been Greta at some point in our life. But it was very sad to me. Like, I felt so bad for Greta, and then I started feeling bad for myself because it's like we literally have all been in this kind of position. You also filmed this during COVID, where the minute you were done, mask went up, and you kind of had to go off to your separate. So you missed out on that kind of chemistry that I think you guys have on The Chi. So it must have been very isolating and kind of depressing to film this Greta story, how did you not take it home? And from The Shy, when you're dealing with some of these heavy themes that are both personal and as your character, how do you kind of shake that off and survive as a filming of a season?
Well, for me, I felt like I feel really close to this cast and crew, the producers,
It
everyone
couldn't be
involved.
more different, by the way. Even from everybody's career, it's so different.
So different, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we did find ways to bonding experiences. I think we did find ways to we couldn't do the typical things that you'd do where you'd go for a drink with people
Yeah.
or you have a rap party or something. None of that happened, but there was a camaraderie on set. There was a way to kind of be with people. They set up tables outside, so you sat at either end of a picnic table, but you could still have lunch with somebody, or there
Pass the salt.
there were, but I think in terms of, so for me, I didn't feel isolated doing it. I felt actually really supported and really loved and cared for and given a lot of space and room to find what I needed. As an actor, when I do have to do a really hard scene, I do have to kind of be really, when I say a hard scene, it's like something heavy or, you're dealing with something dramatic. I do have to kind of be nice to myself for a day or two if I don't have to go right back to set and shoot something else.
Totally.
But if I do have the luxury of having the weekend off or even a day or even just getting home early that night, taking a bath, watching the day wash down the drain, eating good food, like I might want to drive through Wendy's or something, but instead be like, no, like I'm going to have like a really nice chicken salad. I'm going to do like,
Teach me your ways.
No,
That's
but-
not happening for me.
no, I'm not every day. But it's not every day. But on the hard days, if I can do a couple things that are like really nice for myself, light a nice candle, like just a couple of little things, it does really help me just kind of like, I don't know. I mean,
It does. For us, it was, we were totally, because it was winter when we were filming.
in Chicago.
And a lot of people had a lot of families, so it was even stricter for us.
Yeah.
We couldn't really get together a lot. We did a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of phone calls because some people had family and some people were testing positive, and it was more isolation. And with a lot of us, especially me, they were so strict. Like we cannot afford nothing to happen to you.
Yeah.
So it was very isolated. So my life was built with a computer. I was talking to cast members on a computer. Even my family, and my mom is there, my sister there, and they're like, we can't even come hug you. And I'm like, I can't risk it because I have a huge family. And anything could have happened, and people are not being as safe as, come on now, we know how family can be. People are not being as safe as they could have. So for me, it was very, very tough. And those days when I had like dramatic scenes, luckily my car was out there. I will take a car ride in Lakeshore Drive, and I will, light a bath with some candles, listen to music, watch cartoons.
Yes, something
I
light.
love watching
I love that.
cartoons. Every time it's like a dramatic day for me, I watch cartoons.
What's your cartoon that you watch?
Tom and Jerry, Mario Brothers, the
Get
old
out.
Mario Brothers. Yes. What's the other one? It was my grandmother's favorite cartoon, Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Old school classic.
The old
Yeah.
school classics. It makes you laugh. It gets you out of your head, and you're like in a whole new world.
I
You're a
love
little
it.
kid again.
Yeah.
You're in touch with your inner child, and you forget that dramatic scene that you had to go on. So that really helped me, and it got me through COVID. Cartoons, people.
Yeah.
I still watch it now. I don't watch the news. I will watch cartoons, and I just will laugh, and I will just be like in a whole nother person.
Oh, good for
But
you.
I would not. I'm just glad this thing is like leaving us. Because it was
Not soon enough.
but it was not fun in the winter. I know some people worked in Canada, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel your pain. I know what that's like.
But they had maple syrup, so, Good. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to do a hot topic on the rock style when we come back. And we are back. Okay. Tony, take us away. This is a hot topic. It's time for Hot Topics on the Rocks with Alexander. Better pour yourself a nut.
Look.
So hot. You can see our Hot Topic segments on IGTV and YouTube. Okay, here's today's Hot Topic. As the fight for gender equality continues, women have been affectionately and with good intention been called terms like boss bitch, boss lady, female entrepreneurs, women-owned businesses, first woman nominated, women supporting women, and other descriptives that highlight women in power. Here's the hot topic, because this is a conversation that's been had recently. Now there's a shift, and the conversation has changed to stop using these descriptives because it actually further segregates women from the conversation, implying that a woman being in charge is supernatural, or they can't just be called a business owner, just not be called a boss, an entrepreneur. Should we stop using female highlighted descriptives, or are we still making a point, and it's important for the youth to be aware that these are female-driven terms?
Oh, good topic.
Yeah.
That's good.
I say a little bit of both. We should definitely start like making it just like normalized, but we still have to make it a point to let people know like this was the first woman to do this. That means we need to go a little farther. It shouldn't be the first woman to be a CEO at a company. That never should be the case. So I feel like a little bit of both.
I'm a big believer in no hard and fast rules. Like, because I feel like it's about the individual. If an individual woman wants to call herself the first CEO, or a woman wants to call herself a boss bitch, or whatever it is, then I like, if that's what you say about yourself, then I support you and I reflect you.
Exactly.
It is not my job to put that term or any term on any person. So I personally think the larger conversation in a lot of ways is we're supposed to be talking to each other as individuals, not saying like, well, this is what all women want, or this is what.
Yeah, putting us all in a box. You can't, because we want different things.
Yeah.
We don't all want the same thing.
Yeah. But that's my I don't know if my take was hot enough for the topic, but
No, that's like cut and dry. It's like, okay, yes, I see that. And I've been running in as a male on a lot of interviews. Like I have been stopped and say, you don't need to say female entrepreneur or, and okay, and then I feel bad. It's like we don't know what to say, but we're also so quick to bite at people as well because we're all on edge, whether using the wrong term or something like that.
well, there's a lot of
It's
conversation.
the label game. I call it.
Label
Like
game,
it's
yeah.
like you. I feel like you should just, like you said, ask the person, the
Ask the
individual,
person.
and see what they're comfortable with. Because some people hate labels, and some people are
Yeah.
like, oh, whatever. But
I think there's a lot of tension, and there's been a lot of COVID. Like, there's also like
Totally.
people are upset, and rightfully so, and people are really isolated.
Yeah.
And so there's
Yeah.
like, so people are feeling they need to be like seen and heard, and like a lot of that's happening.
tension.
Yeah,
It's so
but-
much tension.
Yeah, and some of it's great, and some of it's like, so then how do we get past now and find, like you were saying about the shy, it's like, is there commonality in a story that I haven't lived through?
Yeah.
Like, do we have a shared human experience, even though we have obviously different life
But
experiences?
we all have a shared experience. We're
We have
human.
dreams,
We're
too.
humans.
No, we're human.
We're
we all
humans.
have a shared experience. We all want love. We want happiness, and we want community.
We want to be seen. We want to
Yeah.
be recognized. Like,
And we want to be heard.
yeah.
I was interviewing Blue Del Barrio from Star Trek, and Blue is the first non-binary character in Star Trek. Blue also happens to be a non-binary actor. And so I asked this big question. I thought it was going to be some monumentous clip, and it was going to, GLAAD was going to post it everywhere. I was like, what is the future of non-binary actors? And Blue said, we just be called actors. That was all. That was all they said. And I was like, oh, duh. And I felt, but it was like, that was like a funny moment. It's like,
Yeah.
maybe we'll just be called.
Well, it's like when people say like, "Oh, my gay uncle," or like the gay
Yeah.
wedding. I'm like, "Isn't it just a wedding now? Like, aren't we just like?"
no, a gay
Yeah.
wedding.
But I love that you had that moment of, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like I got flushed and I turned red because then I felt like so dumb, like asking. I was like, yeah, you're right. Isn't that all what we want? And I want to talk about headlines kind of leading so the interviews that both of you have done. Body positivity is a big part of Greta's character, and so every conversation is about that and your own experience and auditioning for Hollywood not quite fitting the box, and we know that you came out during the Shy, and so it's like, well, I'm an actor, like, can I do my part? And every headline kind of has this descriptive. Does that get a little tiresome sometime that every interview is about that section and it's not about your craft, it's not about the career from the past, it focuses on one descriptive that you happen to bring to the table?
Right.
I totally agree. I stopped people that were interviewing me. They'd be like, oh, Jasmine, blah, blah, blah. They say the trans actor. I'm like, no, I'm not a trans actor.
Yeah.
I'm an actress that happens to be trans. And before I came out, I was just an actress, and I'm still going to be just an actress.
Good
so
for
it
you.
does get like people do not put me in a box, don't label me, because I was not just playing trans roles, and I'm not going to only play trans roles, so we can't just say trans actor.
Good for you.
You know, and I feel like that's one of our problems if we start boxing people in and putting these labels on people that I was just talking about. Like, let's just make it normal. We're actors. We just happen to be, well, me, like the character on the show, or or just happen to fit the description of some of our characters, but we're just actors. That's it.
And that's what I loved about Imani. We were introduced to her season 3, and Imani's story was just part of the family, and it wasn't like, we're going to hit you over the head with this storyline. This is the most important part about Imani. No, Imani's trying to become this mother figure in the house, and I loved that kind of introduction. I think that's the new form of storytelling.
I agree.
Beautiful.
That's why I took the role. I read the script, and because I read other scripts before that, and I turned it down. Like, I'm not the girl for that. And as an actor, if you know you can't tell the story truthfully, you should not take that role.
That's right.
That's
right.
So I saw that, and I was like, I can do this, because they're doing exactly the stories that I feel like we should be telling. And we're going to normalize things that are normal. Let's do it this way.
I feel like the only way I can relate to what you're saying, because I don't have a trans story, but in the way that when I talk about teaching acting now, right? So we're talking about how do you bring something authentic, but also to a certain level, to more major and minor degrees, we also still have to pretend a certain amount, right? Because I'm saying, well, my name is not Greta Hauser, or I don't have a husband and 2 children. So there are certain things I still have to imagine and relate to. But I think the question that I have to ask myself as an actor when I get approached with a role is, do I think I can authentically relate to
That's
this
every
experience?
role. I think
that's the
every
question.
actor has to ask. I don't care. Like, even me, my character is similar, but I still will look at the script but seriously, can you relate to her besides this?
Yeah. Is there more than just the one descriptor? For me, it was the fat
Exactly.
thing of, plus size. And I went, yeah, but just because it says plus size doesn't mean that I'm right for that role. You have to
Exactly.
read the whole character.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. And when we're talking about body positivity, it's Hollywood's favorite term now.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
I think it's really getting better? No. I think it's just it's. Remember when Crazy Rich Asians came out?
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to be the Asian time for equality in Hollywood. Well, what happened with that?
I was thinking the same
It's
thing.
like,
what
no, nothing
happened?
really happened. We're going to have a sequel. That's probably not going to be a blockbuster like
It's
the first
always going to
one.
be a fight. It's never ending.
But the whole idea about body positivity, because I've talking, that's really good podcasting talk. I've spoken about body positivity, especially from the gay community, because we know gay community is all about the muscles and the speedos and the tight, or you're the other aspect of it, and you're part of the bear community. But every time I have the conversation about body positivity, I start to get very bashful, because then I think me talking about it brings this weird light to it. Like, all of a sudden, if I'm going to talk about being husky or body positive, then all of a sudden all the attention is like,
But
look at that waist,
but
and it's just weird energy.
I'm sorry that you feel that. I'm sorry that it makes you feel
Me too.
self-conscious, right? Because I think but also I think, this is going to be so corny. I'm going to say something really corny. But I remember reading one time that when a caterpillar is going to become a butterfly, I know.
You have
No,
to
I
teach
love-
her.
you have to
No,
say
she
it.
has to
Yes,
teach
she
her.
has
You can
to be,
totally
'cause I
say
love
her.
it. I love
Caterpillar-
it.
She probably had a pop-up book.
No, well, for real.
And play the piano with
if
one
I
hand.
had one right now, I'd be like, "Come here, children." But when
story time.
when a caterpillar goes into the chrysalis, it has to liquefy entirely before it becomes a butterfly. So, if for any of us to self-actualize, there has to be a period of discomfort. It's not
Totally.
just all a beautiful journey, which is maybe this is a shallow comparison, but it's like when you were saying about physical, is there comedy in the darkness? Yeah, because there's also darkness in the positive things. And for me, the thing I try not to get angry about if I can, but that I kind of not resent a little, but when people are like, "You're so brave. It's so brave that you are the way you are," and I'm like, "Why?
Right, you
why am I
brave for
What's
what?
brave? What's brave? I'm just a human existing in a body.
Exactly.
I'm just a human existing in a
Yeah,
body.
see, but it's that kind of chatter that you're just like.
But that's what. So for me, for me, it's therapy, and I work on that on my own, and I say, only thing I can control is me. The only talk I can control is mine.
I love that.
That's all I can do. So it's like I hate that you feel self-conscious, but also being self-conscious, at least you're able to recognize you feel that way. So then you now can say to yourself, why do I feel that way? Like, I don't have to feel that way. I'm a gorgeous human in a gorgeous body.
But, we all have confidence issues, no matter how skinny you are, how old you are, how young you are.
is true.
Everybody has that
100%,
kind of,
yeah.
we're always doubting ourselves at some point. And what I love about Greta's journey during Physical, I'm not giving anything away, is we see that empowerment, and it's like a switch,
changes.
and it's such a dichotomy to Rose Byrne's character. She's kind of unlikable as it goes on because, and my mom and I are besties. Go figure. And so she's also watching Physical as well. And she started watching The Shy, and she had tons of questions. I had some from her. But she was like, oh, God, Rose Byrne's character, and I forget her character name.
Sheila.
Even.
Sheila.
Of course, Sheila. Isn't that weird? Like Greta, I'm like, yeah, me and Greta, we tight. And Rose Byrne's character. Sheila, she kind of made a lot of her own problems, but she's also a victim of other issues such as sexual abuse and eating disorder. But her character is kind of unlikable when you think about all this negativity and the lying and all this kind of stuff. And it's so different than Greta's journey, who also came from a place of self-doubt and kind of self-hating, and then she's overcome.
Yeah, but I see it like, I see it like it's easier for us to dislike Sheila because we get the whole look on the inside. Oh, you're lying. Oh, you did this or that. But all of us lie. All of us have different ways of
Coping.
Yeah. Greta, I mean, I happened to I luck out in a way that I had a character that was like more earnest or more cards on the table. But ultimately, what you don't see about her that she references, it's like she has no friends. Like she can't because she's so cards on the table. Everyone's like, you're so weird. Like so, it's like so what Sheila was able to do is be able to learn how to function and fit in the world more in a way that Greta's like, I can't, And they learn from each other, actually, ultimately, in an amazing way. Because, truthfully, Dierdre on the outside sometimes was being like, Greta, like, nut up a little. Like, come on,
I've
come
said
on.
that
Like,
a few times.
Yeah, you could do it. But, like, she couldn't. She didn't have that inner fortitude yet, and she had to find it. So, yeah, I don't know if I should say nut up now. I just thought about that.
It's so true, though.
No, but it is interesting. And I did see Sheila's character shift towards Greta. All of a sudden, it was like, we're kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
I love these character studies. All right, Jasmine. Here's a question I had myself, and I also got it from some of our viewers.
Okay.
One of the things that I still cannot get used to, and we talked about Matt Damon using FAG to talk about gay people.
I can't believe that. I was actually really surprised.
Number one, does he hate his PR team? Because what a nightmare. Like, who says that out loud? Like,
I was
keep it to yourself.
surprised.
I mean, how stupid is that? I in today's day and age, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
He said that to who?
He said it out to the press, and he says, I just stopped using FAG because my daughter told me. What? You're in Hollywood?
I just thought I haven't heard anyone say that word since I was like in 8th grade.
I was gonna
mean,
say
years.
I forgot that word existed.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk about it. So this is almost like a mini hot topic. One thing I still cannot get used to is how many times the N-word is used in The Shy.
Yes.
And so I want to talk about, number one, how you approach it. Number two, how it fits the story. Because I have heard FAG used with my friends as like, and I'm going to say, as of 4 years ago, I probably was using it in a funny term of endearment, or also like a quippy, funny insult. Stopped using it now because I realize it actually comes from a history of oppression. Yeah. And because enough of my friends were like, no, we're not saying that anymore. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're not. But the N-word it's part of the story, it's part of the culture, and I would love for you to talk about it from a personal point of view. As an actor, is it hard saying, or and also talk about it being a legitimate part of this show?
I feel like the reason why it's such a legitimate part of the show, Black people was oppressed by that word for so long, and I feel like we just took it as an empowerment. Now we took it. It's like it's ours. We can only use it, So when we use that word, there's a sense of not ashamed. We're using it as it's cool now. It was a word that made us feel like we were less than. Now it's like, oh no, I'm a nigga, whatever.
Even hearing it makes me nervous.
Yeah,
I just have to tell
no,
you.
I totally get it. But for me, growing up, I used that think like, why are we using that word? I was one of those kids who's like, I don't get why we're using it, because I felt like that. I got used to it, and I got schooled on why we were using it. And Solange Knowles talks about it in one of her songs, like, this is for us. You know, we took it as, okay, this was used to made us feel bad, but we don't feel bad about who we are. We don't feel bad about our hair, our skin, or anything about us. We're beautiful. We're magical. So we took it in a way of like throwing it back in our oppressor's face. Like, we get to say this and you can't say it now. You know, and so I get why everyone in the Shy, why it was written that way, because you start seeing like when they use it, no one feels bad about it. It's an empowerment thing, or they use it because it's cool. You know, not saying that it's right, because a lot of us Black people still feel like we shouldn't use that word because it was oppressing us. But on the other hand, I get why other Black people use it, because it's like, okay, I'm not ashamed of this word. It doesn't make me feel bad. But yeah, a lot of us have different opinions about it. I don't really like to use it, so when they make me use it, I feel like I sound so funny. Like, my friends will ask me to like, can you say this again? I'm like, no, I'm not saying this. And my Black friends will ask me to say, I'm like, no, I'm not saying it, because they say, you sound so weird when you say it.
Because it doesn't feel like an authentic part of me.
It's not an authentic part of me. So when I have to say it, sometimes I laugh, or sometimes I be on set like, oh my God. And everyone's like, know what I'm going through, because they're like, okay, Jasmine, you just have to say it.
To get it. I actually turned down a role of a character who used that word. It was a scene of like of being a racist person.
Oh, wait. Oh, my God.
And I was like, I said I couldn't take. I was too uncomfortable.
I had a play. I was in high school in my junior year. It was a play. And because I was fair-skinned and I was in Chicago, I didn't get a lot of sun, I was playing a slave master, and I had to use that word.
Wow.
Yes.
How did you?
What?
Yes. Oh, my God. It was like... It was I was dreading to do it. I did it because one of my friends came up to me and said, like, you want to be an actor, right? I was like, wow. Yeah. It's like, so if you're getting paid $2 million to tell a story and it's truthful, you're telling a story what happened to us. So get out of your head, tell this fucking story. This was told to me in high school, and tell it right, you know. Feel how you want to feel about it later, but tell the story so the audience can feel how mean this person was to these people.
Wow.
And after that, I cried about it after I did it later, but I see how, like, even 12 Years a Slave, how those actors.
That's what you're making me think of. I'm thinking of, like, people who maybe would never use that word.
Yeah, but had to, like, get in that mindset. Like, okay, you have to get out of your head right now. We're telling a story of what really happened back in the days. And we only can tell the story if you feel like you want to be truthful about it. If you can't be scared, it's going to hurt. You're going to feel so many emotions. And you should feel so many emotions, because if you feel nothing, then you need to start questioning yourself. Like, oh, so this word doesn't mean anything to you. So the fact that you feel weird, and the fact that you feel weird about it, you should have that sense of relief. Like, oh my God, it is bad.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people who are a non-Black person who don't feel weird or bad about it or ashamed, then you should start questioning yourself. Like, do your history. Do you know where this word come from? So it makes me feel great that when I get asked this question, like, how do you handle that? You know, because you as a non-Black person or brown person feel like, wow, like, you know, I feel ashamed about my ancestors or whatever. So I feel very hopeful of the future.
Wow.
You know?
I think that's I'm so sorry. I think that's an amazing point, though, too, because what I hear you saying that I'm considering for the first time is somebody has to be the bad guy so somebody else can be the good guy. And like in 12 Years a Slave, Lupita Nyong'o gets to be triumphant. Yeah. Because somebody else was not, like, was awful, evil. You know,
because it's a depiction of real life. We have to. So not everyone is good.
Yeah,
people are bad,
and we have to tell those stories too, because, like you were saying, people have to hear those stories. People have to know.
If we don't tell them, then history is washed away.
Oh my gosh!
So
you're really hitting.
That's
I did
another
not
way.
To cry on this
radio show
today.
But that's on the rocks. But wait a minute. That's another way. Also, I was told that it reminds us of our history. Saying that word, you know, reminding us of, okay, this is where our ancestors came from. So you think you have it hard, young lady? This is champagne problems compared to what our ancestors had to deal with. So you go out there, you strive for the best, because you can't really complain, because we may have some problems now, but the world is so much better. we have gone so far. We had a black president, we have our first vice president who's a woman. Let's start there before she's a color. She's a woman.
Woman.
And she's half black as well. So we have came so far. Yes, we're always going to have more work to do because that's humanity.
Right.
But we have came so far, and I can't complain. Like, even if I see something on the news today, I'd be like, okay, that's just that person. But the fact that I can walk the street without being hung, the fact that that I can, go to the South and I don't hear that word, the N word to me, the fact that I can date outside my race interracially, which I've always have, and I'm not getting thrown in jail. Like we have come so far, and we always have to remember that we come so far. We still have work to do, but be grateful for where we're at now. Like the fact I'm sitting in this room with all of you, like I feel blessed, and I'm grateful to hear any non-black person say they feel uncomfortable with that word. So thank you.
Oh.
I love having these conversations.
Oh my God, I feel like and Emmy and oh my God, I'm like can we be best friends after this radio show? Oh my God, I'm very moved right now, incredibly deeply. Wow.
I want to talk about the type of roles now with a hit show. Because you always have to think of like the next job, and now there's this pressure. It's like, okay, I've done this, now I've got to do this and this and that. That comes with so much pressure, rather than just kind of like making it by. It's like, no, this is what I'm doing. I want to talk about the type of roles. What's happening in the casting offices? What kind of roles are being brought to your table from The Chi, from having done Physical? I know you worked on Ray Romano's directorial debut. Yeah. But like, what kind of scripts are you seeing?
It's been a lot of really fun, cool things, new things. So that's really fun and exciting. I always am trying to look for, as much as I can, what's going to take me as far out of the previous box if I have that option.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So like in the Ray movie, I'm playing, it's Ray's the oldest brother, Sebastian Maniscalco's the middle brother, and I'm the young sister. It's really a movie about Ray and his family, but I get to play this real broad from Queens, and also
love the accent, by the way.
Well, it comes out when I'm from Brooklyn, really, so it starts to come out. When I would talk to my boyfriend on the phone, he'd be like, "Oh, okay, you've been in Jersey a little bit too long," But I got to also play sort of not the bratty, but in the minute you go into your family, that family dynamic pops in. Mm-hmm. So I also got to be screaming at my brothers and why am I losing my cool? So I got to do something that was also now very different from Greta, who I felt had this really cool evolution away from Ella, which was the last kind of big thing. And I've done so anytime I can look at something and go, oh, I think this is going to be a different thing, I gravitate towards it. As long as I feel like I can do it authentically. And that's sort of my litmus test. How many different sides of my own personality can I show, before I run out of them? So that's where
But there's also this scene that's hey, I could keep playing this character in every, A-list movie, and it could be the same character, and that could be my career.
I'm not mad at it.
I was going to say, I'm not mad at it either. But we see a lot of actors do that, and they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But for me, mine is all over the place. Like right now, I have a movie coming out, and I'm just playing a waitress, And then like I said, this movie Sunrise that I shot. I'm like, where is this movie?
That's got to be the toughest thing for an actor. It's
can they come out? Because it's such a beautiful movie. It's about this wife and this husband is trying to convince her, his father, to leave with us on a spaceship because the son is about to die.
Oh my God!
Ooh, so Sunrise. Where's the next Sunrise? Ooh,
exactly.
Chills.
So I'm like, what is going on with that? And my auditions are pretty much all over the place. It's comedy, it's this and that. I'm getting very little trans roles because the ones that they sent me I'm just not right for, and I'm truthful as an actor. If I know I'm not going to be able to do that, I'd be like, no, because I want to, I have to represent communities. It's so many communities I feel like I represent,
Good for you. That's amazing.
So they're all over the place. They were like that before this though. So I was going in rooms where it was ambiguous or open to all. I never had a description of roadmap or where I should go. So to me, this is it's just my normal audition, comedy one day, drama or dramedy or, whatever it was.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really do. And you just moved to the West Coast.
I did.
Congratulations.
We just moved in together actually this week.
Oh my Lord. Girl.
So I was like,
have patience with one another.
We're doing really good. We've actually talked about it a lot. We did really good. We did not kill each other in this move. So we feel like that's a really
If you
good
could travel or do a move with somebody and you're fine, then
We've done a lot of traveling already. We're doing good, but I'm also a pretty tried and true Brooklyn, New York girl. So all my friends were like, "You're gonna be out." I'm like, "No, I'm not moving to LA, guys. That's not." And now I'm like, "Okay, I'm committing to 1 year in LA." But then I'm like, my family's like, "Okay, we're shipping you things. Don't worry." Like, we'll see. I think but since I've been here, then I immediately booked the minute I signed the lease. I booked the Ray movie and had to go back to New York for 8 weeks. So
That's so funny.
I feel like I'll bop back and forth. I still have a good relationship with New Amsterdam. I feel like I'll go back and forth, and I'm happy about that. I have family there, so it's also a great way to see them and on someone else's dime, which is very nice. So
Totally.
I know we're kind of in a weird environment. Like, are we done with COVID? Are we not?
I know.
But what has been the most challenging part about living in LA, not just coming to visit?
Well, I moved here in November, the very beginning of November, and like you said, so everything was shut down. So I was like, LA traffic, like what's LA traffic? And I was like, I know, and like the skies were clear. I was like showing my family on Facebook. I was
She got spoiled.
I could see 6 sets of mountains from here. I'm like, this is gorgeous. So, but now I'm like, oh, this is what. I was like, oh, we have to leave 2 hours ahead of time to be 30 minutes away. Oh, okay,
That's exactly it.
And
There's
street
always a
parking
2-hour
and
window.
like
Yep.
So the weird part for me was like you were saying when you were on the Shy, when you got there, you had to be so isolated. My first 2 months here, I shot 2 days. So I was sitting in my room, playing 8 hours of video games.
Oh, that's the best.
Super into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It
Oh,
was amazing.
how is it, by the way?
Really good. I was a Viking and I killed people. It was amazing.
Because I'm thinking about getting another game.
Let's talk after. I have a feeling you and I are going to be friends.
Yes.
So, but I was like, how do you fill the days? Because it was I didn't want to see a lot of people. I had a very small pod. I felt like it was my obligation to be safe for the people I was working
have
with.
to.
And so it was a little strange, but all the typical things. The weather is so nice. The food's really good. It's fun to be here. Whatever. He makes it pretty great, so. I like it. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Girl, I'm taking it out to West Hollywood. We're gonna have some drinks.
Yes.
Okay, Hamburger Mary's. I'll see you there.
Oh no.
Oh, okay, we're better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I want to talk about your time working as a teacher, and I know that you were working. You were as a teacher at NYU just until the last year or so.
Yeah.
What have you learned from the students? What have the students taught you?
Oh, teaching is my favorite thing to do because I feel like acting, I'm so self-focused, right? So it's all about me. What am I doing? And this moment, but staring at my face on a mirror all the time. It's nerve-wracking. But teaching is so 100% not about me if I'm doing it right. It's really about getting someone else to really get something. So I feel like if I spent 100% of my time doing that, I wouldn't focus on myself enough. And if I spent 100% of my time acting, I would be a total narcissist. So it felt narcissist. So I'm
that's why a lot of us are.
Well, but
You kind of have to be, honestly.
you have there's a sense of self ego that has to come forward to say people want to watch me and I don't know, but really you have to embrace that. Someone's pointing a camera at you, that's but I feel I love teaching that because I would teach acting a lot or singing or things that were sort of related to what I was doing. So it was also then saying, oh, okay, wait, so how do I do what I do? And then when I would have to put words on it, I'm like, oh, wait, that is how I do what I do. So even through explaining it, I would then feel like I was getting better at what I was doing or understanding it better. Yeah. So that was, I love it. And I will go back to it when I have a window of time. I was going to teach at NYU this summer, but then it ended up not working out with scheduling with some things. But I'll go back to it the minute I have a little window. And I have a pretty good relationship with NYU where I've been able to be hey, I have 6 weeks free. And they'll be oh, so. But I like it a lot. I love teaching. So
I would love to sit through one of your classes.
Yeah.
Oh. You just seem like the best.
I'll talk about
type of
butterflies.
teacher.
You have no idea. We go on these tangents. I'll be the letter T came from trees.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? My students are but we have a good time.
I'll be in the back with the flask.
Yeah.
You tell them. Totally. In terms of learning from people around us, you have a great relationship with Lena Waithe, who created The Chi.
What a hero. I love her.
She's become your mentor. What advice has she given you about your career? What has she taught you the most?
Have thick skin. As a mentee, I'm learning so many things because I even though I was in this acting world, I came from modeling. So it's very much, you're a hanger. You show up, you take a picture, and you don't really have to deal with much. You just get your hair, your nails done, your face beat, and pretty clothes, and, pose right, and you're out the door. And I step into acting, and I was like, oh, my God, this is a whole nother world. The outside people, the internet trolls, the meeting people on, I'm like, how do I do? And I'm so glad that she's immediately just grabbed me and embraced me. Is like, no, you're not going to go down. I got you. Someone has your back. Because I thought it was just like modeling. I didn't know, I did a little bit of acting, but it wasn't like on this big of scale. Like, I'm in an airport now and people come up to me. I can't go anywhere. I'm like, how many people watch the show?
Oh my God.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I'm like in different cities like this year, and I'm getting stopped. I'm on beaches and I'm getting stopped. I'm like, wow, she teaches me so much how to be, and luckily I come from a place where I'm used to being in like privileged circles, I would say, from previous boyfriends.
Oh, teach me your way.
We both went.
Yeah.
So I'm used to being on golf courses and country clubs. So I'm used to being in these circles where you have to behave a certain type of way, even if someone frustrates you or something. So I'm so used to being on. I call it being on all the time. Handle yourself professionally, learning how to communicate even through differences. So like meeting people or not responding to any trolls. That was my biggest thing Lena taught me. Like, don't you dare. You're going to egg them on. You're only fueling the fire, like no matter what. So now she taught me to just block. And she teaches me so many things that I can't say because it's me and her personal relationship.
Yep.
I feel like she's like my fairy godmother.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I wouldn't be here without her because so many times I wanted to quit. I wanted to like give up, because people are so mean and they just make you feel like, and I'm a woman who has a lot of confidence. It takes a lot to beat me down. 2020 did it. So between 2020 and the trolls, I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this again. I am getting tore to pieces. And Lena said, no, ma'am, we're not doing that, and she just uplifted me. She held me when I cried, she was there like talking to me. And it was just like, oh my God, I have someone.
Oh, that's so special.
I just felt like, oh my God, I'm getting emotional. I just felt like I wasn't alone, like I had someone to talk to, someone who understood, everything I was going through from her being from Chicago, the struggle that I've been through. Because most people looked at me as like, oh, she pretty much had it together. Or most people in Chicago thought I lived in the suburbs. I'm like, no, I did not. I just carry myself a different way. But there's so many layers underneath me that I've been through. And having her to talk to, like, got me through so much, and she still get me through so much today. Like, I will call her and like, Lena, I'm having this problem. She'd be like, okay, let's talk about it.
Lena, I'm in traffic on the 101.
Yeah. I'm late for this
Get
podcast.
me a different route.
I'm about to be late. I wasn't prepared. She's like, just chill. You're going to be fine.
Oh my God, that's so special.
Yeah, like I owe so much to her. And she's like a mentor / big sister / fairy godmother that I asked her, like, I don't know what I did to deserve this type of friendship because I know it doesn't come easy, but I'm grateful.
But it does. You're the one who said at the beginning of this, the things that are meant for you come easily to you.
Yeah.
So it was meant for you. That's
Thank
it.
you.
That's why
Yeah.
you deserved it, because you were you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh, please don't thank me. Thank Lena.
Yeah, thank you, Lena.
That's also a great message from The Chi, is we see people from these kind of circumstances and the choices that the characters make to overcome or to choose different paths for themselves is very inspirational.
Wow.
We all have deep, dark stories, I'm sure, from our past, and it's how you deal with that and overcome and keep going, because sometimes we all feel like, you know what, I this is tough.
Yeah, you feel like you want to check out, but you have to keep going. And it's the keeping motivated and keep going, that's when you see the end of the tunnel. You see the light. It's like, oh my God, if I would have quit it right here, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy this right now. And I tell anyone, like, I know you may be going through so much, and we all go through so much, but please, if you can, get through it, talk to someone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And that's the biggest thing I had to overcome, because I'm such an independent woman. Like, I want to do it myself because I feel like I don't want to feel like I owe anyone anything, and I don't want anyone to say that, you know, they helped me out. But I realized, honey, you do need help. We all need help. People who own major companies got help. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is okay to not be okay.
Who was okay this year? Find me a person who was okay this year. Find me one.
I want to know, like, were you on this planet?
Thank you. You know what I mean?
But it's funny because social media can be smoke and mirrors.
Of
Oh,
course.
totally.
And for the two of you, you know, your personal struggles, well, now you kind of have an obligation because as women telling stories of other women who, you know, have their own obstacles, now you have people that are looking up to you.
That's true.
Male
Yeah.
and female. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the issues that Greta has gone through, the issues that Imani has gone through. It's like now people are seeing these stories and seeing this. You kind of have a responsibility now.
Well, to be like, do you mean to be like open about my struggles?
No, to share that, yes, to share
Yeah.
that, but also to show that, hey, you can overcome these rough times, and then you can be on this hit show. You can tell stories that talk about body positivity, and you know, and coming from difficult walks of life, and you can overcome. And this is the success that anybody really can have if you choose this positive path.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's what I
look
get
at us.
reminded of from Lena. Like, you have a responsibility now,
Wow.
young lady. And I was like, I'm grateful that I get to have this responsibility now. Because at first, like you said, I thought of it like, oh my God, it's so much pressure. You know, you're freaking out because you're like on this hit show the first time it airs. I'm like, I'm freaking out. This is so much pressure. She's like, look at it a different way.
Look at it a different way.
And I start looking at it actually this year. It took me this year to look at it a different way. I was like, huh, you're right. All these people, you know, now that I'm outside, all these people that I got to meet that will walk up to me from all walks of life that'd be like, oh my God, you're such an inspiration. From moms to people from
Yes.
different races, ethnicities. And I'm like, oh my God. And hearing their stories of what I inspired them to do, I'm like, I didn't even know that my character had that much power, but I was like, wow. So I found out that we are the original influencers, actors. Yeah.
Okay.
So that word influencers came from us.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and I'm glad that we actually get to influence people to do.
Please
good
don't
things.
ask me to learn how to use TikTok. I just, I'm
Oh my God. My niece and nephew is teaching me. I'm like you. I did
I'm
not
still
know.
fighting it.
no.
I'll be
no.
85 years old. I'm not going to get on TikTok. It's going to go away.
I can't. I just learned Instagram. Like, I just feel like I just tackled that. So I'm like, okay, I have.
But you have to though, because it's it's actually gonna.
Well, that's a whole other talk. It's like you can't just be an actor now. Now you have to be a social media.
Yeah.
so tired.
And I know a lot of us think like, oh, I don't want to be an influencer, but we are the original
Yes,
influencers.
that is
Yeah.
definitely true.
Yeah.
All right. I cannot believe that we're at the end of this episode.
Oh my God.
I am so excited to see the trajectory that you've achieved and where you ladies are going. I'm
you.
so excited, and I'm glad that we got to share some of these moments.
Me too.
And
Thanks for
inspiration
having us.
I was
for
going to
our
say
audience.
thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
We're going to go to West Hollywood. We're going to
Okay.
come to your house and do a piano sing-along.
Yes, done. Come
That would be fun. That would be amazing.
Jasmine, tell our audience where you want them to find you and follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at the Jasmine Davis. Also Twitter, the Jasmine Davis. My TikTok is jasmine.davis. My Facebook is the Jasmine Davis as well.
Love it.
Oh boy.
Dierdre.
I'm on Instagram. I'm Dierdre Friel. On Twitter, I'm Dierdre Friel. On TikTok, I'm Dierdre Friel. I have one. I just don't do anything with it. And my Facebook is for my family. Sorry, I love you guys, but that's
Yeah,
what
I
it's
tried
for.
finding you. Couldn't find you. I was like, meh. Thank you so much, ladies. And that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here on The Rocks. We talked about some serious stuff today, I have to
I know,
say.
seriously. Thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
That was for free.
This was fun.
TEDx
This
talk,
was fun.
yes.
It really was.
A big thank you to our fabulous guests, our engineer, Tony Sweet here, our studio producer, Michael Vega, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez, our researcher, Mama Rose. Get your tickets for Vegas, by the way. I will be there next week. We are streaming live from the Penthouse Suite at Rio, by the way. Go to gazeinspace.org. Please like, share, subscribe so we can continue to bring in this fabulous show to you for free. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay tipsy, and stay sexy.
Keep it sexy, everyone.
Keep it sexy.
This has been another episode episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at ontherocksradioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.